Hello and welcome to my show Indus Cuisine, and I'm your chef Basim Akhund. We're back with a new episode from the heart of Pakistan. Today's recipe is very interesting, and the name of today's recipe is chicken in yogurt sauce. This recipe basically originates from Bangladesh, and why and how did it reach the Pakistani kitchen? It's a very interesting story. The story behind this is that Pakistanis have a lot of people who are Bengali cooks in the house, and these people are paid very handsomely, and then they share all their recipes from their motherland over here in our kitchens. And this recipe has become a part. Why? Because the Bengali chefs in Pakistan are one of the best chefs, and they produce the best recipes in restaurants and in home cooking also. This recipe has a lot of ingredients, and you might be thinking, how will we make a nice yogurt sauce? First, you need to understand you need around 8 to 10 onions, but when I say onions, we are talking about these baby onions. Why? Because these are much more sweeter and they have a very nice aromatic flavor also. Apart from that, you need some yogurt. You need around 1 kilogram of chicken with bone over here, which is on the side. Then you'll be needing around a cup of milk. You'll also be needing clarified butter, around 1/4 cup. You'll be needing some peanuts. You'll be needing almonds. You'll be needing coriander powder. Then you need black pepper, salt to taste, turmeric powder, which has a lot of health benefits. You know, everyone in the West now thinks that turmeric has healing properties, but turmeric has been a part of the Pakistani food culture for centuries. I'll tell you a very interesting thing. In Pakistan, when people get married, mostly the traditional side is people add turmeric to some yogurt, they mix it up and then they apply it. Why? Because they think it will bring a nice color to your skin also. Apart from that, we need some green chilies, some ginger and some garlic, which needs to be fresh. Apart from that, you'll be needing a food processor, and if you do not have a food processor, the old way of doing this recipe was to shred everything so fine that it converts itself into a paste. Now, what do you need? The ingredients are over here, they're ready, but how will we go about with this recipe? First, what you need to do is you need a pan. I'll be cooking this recipe in a pan and in a wok both, but we will start with a pan first. I'll bring the pan to heat, and I shall add just, you could say, 2 tablespoons of clarified butter, not much. Right now 2 tablespoons will go in, and then I shall add a little bit more later on. Let the pan come to heat, reduce the heat to medium, and now let's get the onions ready. We need around 8 to 10 baby onions. So what I'll do is I shall just put all of the onions over here in front of me, and I will use a very distinctive way of cooking them. Why? Because the general way is by slicing or chopping them, but this way the recipe will be changed and the flavor of the recipe will also get enhanced. I will just cut the onion into 2 halves. The root of the onion is out. Why? Because I do not want to finely chop it. So just pass your knife from the center and cut it like this. You can see that the onions are softer. The onions are not that sharp also. Why? Because the smaller the onion, the sweeter it is and the less sharp it is. Now, when I say sharp, what does sharp mean? Sharp doesn't mean that the human being cutting it is sharp, which I am. I'm just joking. But on the other hand, sharp means that it will not make your eyes really watery. Okay, now I'll just increase the heat and transfer all the onions into the pan just like this. What I'll do is I shall cook them on high heat for, let's say, 2 to 3 minutes. I'll add a little bit of salt, around 1/4 teaspoon, spread it out so that the onions start losing their moisture and they start opening up. So the heat needs to be super high, and just start mixing these beautiful onions. Mix them up so that the clarified butter coats each and every side. And now what I'll do is I shall just pick up a spatula, turn it around, and place the flat base on the pan. They are pretty much covered with clarified butter, so they are a little slippery. So I'll just take 2 and slowly and gradually turn them like this. When this is done, I shall give them a lid and cook them on high heat for 3 minutes. This last onion is being a little funny, but not so funny anymore. Okay, it goes on. Cook it on high heat for 3 minutes. Until time it's cooking, what we shall do is we shall get ready with the green chilies. We need around 6 to 8 pieces. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7 and 8. Okay, we'll take a paring knife. I will just take the stem out and place all the green chilies in front. Slowly and gradually just keep going. And once this is done, we shall slit them. Now, why am I slitting them and not chopping them? The reason is that I do not want to have a piece of green chili in every bite. So I will just slit them so that I get the best result. So I shall keep it over here, make a cut on top like this, and try getting the smaller ones for this recipe. And just transfer them on the side. Maintain the cut in the center. It doesn't need to be too thick. The cut should just be an inch. That's about it. This is done. Now keep this on the side, and as I told you, we need to start mixing it up. The onions have nicely charred now. What I'll do is I'll reduce the heat to low completely, and we shall process them into a fine paste. So while you are cooking them, what you need to do is just beat the onion on top, and as you can see, it will start falling apart. Now the onion is nicely golden on the outside, so what I'll do is I'll mix it up once and reduce the heat to completely zero. We'll pick up the jug, place it over here, and now transfer all of these onions into this. We need to convert the onions into a super fine paste. So the onions go in. Now as you can see, the onions are translucent, but they're only brown on the outside. If I would have sliced them, the texture of this recipe would have completely changed, and the flavor of the onion would have also changed. So slowly and gradually, remember, whatever pieces of onion there are in the pan, you have to sauce them out and transfer them over here, and do not waste them. This goes in, and this is almost done. Now the pan is completely clean, wiped clean. What I'll do is I shall just pick up the ramekin, pick up a ladle, and just add around half a cup of milk. That's about it. The milk goes in. Do not add water in this recipe for now. When the water will be required, I'll let you know, and if it won't be required, then also I shall let you know. Now place the lid on top slowly, and now convert this into a super fine paste. It has converted into a fine paste. I'll bring it over here, and now I shall show it to you. The paste is super fine. I'll keep it here on the side momentarily, and now what we shall do is start cooking the recipe. Firstly, what I'll do is I'll add the remaining clarified butter. Take a spatula when the weather is a little cooler, which it is. Why? Because it was raining in the day today in Islamabad. The clarified butter basically comes to a standstill, and it gets a little clingy to the ramekin or the pan which you've added it in. Okay, increase the heat. Now what I'll do is I shall transfer all the onion into this. The onion goes in, scoop it out, try sourcing out as much as you can, and do not waste anything. It's out. I'll just clean it over here and place it on the top. Okay, now what I'll do is I shall just start slowly and gradually mixing all of this in the clarified butter, and as you can see, what will happen is that the clarified butter will come on the top. So slowly and gradually will take you a long way, and this is done. Now what I'll do is I shall just place a lid on top and let this cook for a minute on high heat. That's about it. You need to place a lid on top so that the evaporation is controlled properly. Remember that. Now what I'll do is I'll push this on the side, and now we shall use this back. It's completely clean, and just add some garlic to it. We'll add around 5 pieces of garlic. When this is done, I'll keep this on the side, and I'll pick the ginger. And why am I using this? Why? Because it has all the flavor, and I do not want it to go to waste either. Pick up around a tablespoon equivalent. As you can see, this would equal to a tablespoon. Cut it into pieces and transfer it over here. Now what I'll do is I'll again pick up a ladle of milk and transfer it, and give it a lid and convert it into a super fine paste together. Place it on top. This goes here and convert it into a paste. As you can see, it's converted into a paste. Now what I'll do is I'll take the lid off. I'll just shake it up, reduce the heat to 0 and transfer all of this over here. It's a super fine paste. It has the perfect texture you require for this recipe, and I will just pull it out. Sauce it as much as you can, slowly and gradually, and transfer all the goodness over here into this. Now what I'll do is I'll keep this on the side. I do not need it. And now we should just add another ladle of milk directly into this. I'll pick up this, I'll transfer a ladle of milk, which was half at that time and half more. Now this is equal to 1. Start mixing it towards the border. And this is done. Now I'll cook this for a minute. Until the time I'm cooking it, we shall go for a short break. And once we're back from the break, I'll let you know what to do next. Don't go anywhere. Keep watching Indus Cuisine. Welcome back. You're watching Indus Cuisine and I'm your chef Basim Akhund. During the break, I just waited for you, and as you can see, the paste has a nice texture. What I'll do now is I'll add all the green chilies into this, and then I shall add around a 1/4 teaspoon of salt. The salt goes in, and then what we shall do is add a few of the spices. The coriander powder goes in, the turmeric powder goes in, and now what I'll do is I shall add the black peppercorns. And now I will take a little bit of water, just around a cup, not too much, transfer it over here, and now mix it up properly. Now as you can see, I am just adding the water to dilute it so that the spices cook properly and it gets a proper flavor. Slowly and gradually keep mixing. It has a nice yellow color. Why? Because the turmeric is a natural color agent with a lot of good properties which helps the health also. It smells fragrant, it smells beautiful. Now what we'll do is we'll give it a lid and let this cook on low heat for 3 minutes. Why are we cooking for 3 minutes? So that the spices get a nice color, a nice texture, and it loses the flavor into the gravy also. Now we come back to the main recipe. Now this recipe has a lot of other things. What we need is we need some ginger, which we shall keep over here, and we shall just take a paring knife and slice it. Slice it closely. And now keep the remaining on the side. What I'll do is I shall just go super close and cut it like this. Why? Because I want the ginger to flavor the recipe towards the end, but I'm preparing it just for now. Super fine. And go super close. When this is done, we need to convert this recipe into a delicious chicken-like recipe. Why? Because the chicken has still not gone in. Now everything is done. I shall just push this on the side on the chopping board and keep the paring knife over here. Now what do we need? We need the almonds to be converted into a nice fine paste. So what I'll do is I'll pick up the almonds, I'll place this over here and transfer all the almonds into this. The almonds go in. Then what I'll do is I shall add the peanuts. If you're allergic to peanuts, you can minus the peanuts and add cashews also to this. Whatever is used goes at the back. Always keep your counter clean. On the other hand, what I'll do is I'll add the remaining milk over here and keep this over here. And I shall just pick up the ladle and transfer only a cupful of yogurt into this. This goes in. Now we'll pick up some salt, around a 1/4 teaspoon, which goes in, with 2 green chilies, for which I'll remove the stem. The stem goes in the bin. We shall place this over here and convert this into a super fine paste. We've converted into a paste once more. And this is done. I would like you to see the texture. It's super fine, super thin. Now what I'll do is I'll keep it on the side over here and we shall take the lid off. The spices have cooked evenly. What I'll do is I'll take the spatula and I shall just remix all what has basically stuck to the base of the pan. That is also known as souk in French. That's what the chefs call it abroad. Okay, as you can see, the color is changing behind us. This is Pakistan. It's beautiful. The sky keeps changing color. It's a little towards the red orange side, and this is how we enjoy our evening tea. Pakistanis are very big on evening tea. We like sitting outside with a table and a chair and enjoying our nice tea which is produced in Pakistan. Okay, this is done. Now what I'll do is I shall transfer all of this into this. As you can see, it's super thick, and whatever doesn't come out goes back over here, and we shall add around 2 cups of water. Why? Because we have to make a gravy, and the gravy will be made with water and yogurts mixture. Why? Because we still have to cook the chicken. So what I'll do is I'll place the lid on top and process it fine. When this is done, now as you can see, it's like a nice milky color. This is also something like almond milk. We'll transfer all of this over here. Now we do not need this, so I'll keep it on the side so that it doesn't break in the sink. Remember this, you have to keep your counter clean, very, very super clean. Okay, now slowly and gradually start mixing this. So that the milk which I added in it and the almond paste and everything else comes together super close. Keep mixing it. Now when this is done, what I'll do is I shall change the pan. I shall take a wok now. We'll place the wok over here and transfer all the goodness from here to here. Be super careful. Pick it up and transfer it. This is done. Now we do not need this pan. Now why did we use a wok? Why? Because whenever you're making curry, you need to understand one thing, that the wok is very important because it controls the evaporation process. Okay, now what I'll do is I shall place the ginger inside. And I do not need anything else from here. So this goes at the back. And now comes the chicken. I'll keep the chicken in the front. I'll change the board. Why? Because remember, you will never mix the boards because you have to avoid cross-contamination. I'll keep this in the front, and now what we shall do is we shall get ready with the chicken. The chicken is in the front. I am so sorry. And what we shall do is we shall transfer all the chicken on the chopping board. Pick up the paring knife, which shall not be used again, and wherever you see the chicken with the bone, make a cut so that the texture and the heat goes inside. This way the chicken won't stay raw, it will have the perfect texture. So wherever you see the bone, just slice it. If you see the leg piece, make 2 cuts on each side and go super close. When this is done, what I'll do is I shall transfer all of the chicken into the wok in front of you. If you see a white piece, like also we call it the chest piece, what I do is I just prick it with the knife and let it be. Okay, the chicken is transferred over here into the sauce, and on top of that I shall add the yogurt, but after mixing it in a special way. So till time I clean up, I'll let you know what to do next. As you can see, I have placed a lid on top. I will let it come to boil, and till the time this comes to boil, you need to understand one thing, that the texture inside is super thick. So if the texture is thick, as you can see already, what will happen is that the chicken will face a little bit of problems in cooking. So what do we need to do? Now it's the time to add the yogurt, but the yogurt doesn't go alone. So what I'll do is I'll place the jug here, transfer all the yogurt into this. The yogurt will also bring the spice level of this recipe much down. We'll place around 5 to 6 black peppercorns. Why? Because if they will be crushed, the flavor will be enhanced, and the salt that has to go over here will go over here. We shall add around half a teaspoon of salt, and we shall add around a cup of water. The water goes in. Now we shall process this into a fine, you could say, yogurt water mixture. Place it over here and process it super fine. The black peppercorn has also broken down. Now what I'll do is I'll take the lid off, place it over here and transfer all the goodness into this. Now place it on the side and mix it properly. So we shall just fold it like this because the chicken is still raw, and as you can see that the texture has gotten a little towards the runny side. Now we shall cook this for 10 minutes with a lid on medium heat so that the chicken is cooked thoroughly, and then we shall finally dish it out. So I will show you the final look of the recipe just in a bit. Don't go anywhere, keep watching Indus Cuisine. As you can see, today's recipe is ready. It was a very easy, quick recipe, and it is delicious, and it can be taken with nice basmati rice or with pita bread and also naan bread. I hope you liked today's recipe. The recipe I have just dished out is for just a single person. It's a single serving. I'll see you in the episode of Indus Cuisine. Take care of yourself, lovely people. Have a wonderful day. Bye-bye.